I had a guy named Tyler Babin on the podcast today. He's a photographer and filmmaker, extremely talented individual. And on the show, he tells an amazing story, a story about how he got his dream job with Gary Vaynerchuk. If you don't know who Gary V is, he's an entrepreneur, author, and motivational speaker with millions of followers online. All right, so I'm not going to waste any more time here. I'm just going to get right into this clip because it covers a lot of the points that I've been trying to make on the podcast as well as on my YouTube channel over the past year. It's all about taking calculated risk, creating your own opportunities, knowing when to take that leap, and the hustle that it takes to make shit happen. So let's get right to that clip.
The master plan was get an internship at Vayner, eventually turn that internship into like a staff job, work for a couple of years, meet Gary in the hallway and be like, yo, I want to work directly with you. Like that was in theory how it was going to play out. Instead it was I got a graphic design internship, did that for like 6 or 7 months. And then there was a freeze on hiring creatives. They were just like, all right, we're going to hold off for a little bit. And so I had been like just grinding my face off for like 7 months. And then I get an email one day and it's like, sorry, we don't have a job for you. Like, see ya. So that was devastating. That was like the one moment where I can be like, yo, New York really punched me in the face. And I walked out and like had no idea what was next. I like thought I was going to move back home. And like, it was like, all right, gonna go get my desk job, you know? And so I emailed Gary and I was like, yo, I came here because I wanted to say what's up to you and eventually wanted to work with you, but like I got to leave. So can I have 5 minutes to say what's up? That meeting got canceled, but I was like, it's my last day. It has to happen. So he was jumping in an Uber. I jumped with him. And luckily it was at like 3:00 in the afternoon. So New York traffic was completely gridlocked and our 5-minute meeting turned into an hour. And then by the end of that, pieces were pretty much set in place that I think the next day I was on his team working directly with him. And so it's been 2 years.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. How did that Uber come down? How did that actually happen? Like, were you like waiting outside for Gary to come out of the office, or was that like kind of a little bit part of the plan where it's like, hey, my meeting just got canceled, but we can hop in this Uber?
So that's basically how it happened. Initially, it was like, yo, we're going to reschedule you for next week. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be here next week. Like, it has to happen. And he was like, all right, screw it. You can go and just ride with him. So it was like, jumped in the car. I was so prepared for a 5-minute meeting with Gary. Like, I just had everything locked in. And then the entire plan is out the fucking window in 2 minutes because I was just like, oh, we actually have to have a conversation now and I have to like be on my feet. And so I was like nervous, like shaking in the car. And
well, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Like,
right.
That's what, I think Tyson said it, where it's like you get into the ring and then all of a sudden all bets are off and you just got to figure out what the fuck you're doing.
The thing that's amazing too is it's like D-Rock, the other video guy on Gary's team who's been there about 2 years before me, he's in the car with us filming the entire conversation. So our entire meeting is like documented in history. Like, wow, it's amazing. I want to put it out, but I actually just found the footage recently and watched it and I sound so ridiculous.
Excuse me, Mr. Gary. Was it bad? But then, so you're nervous. That's kind of what I would expect for it to be. Although like, I was like, maybe you just turned it on and
I didn't.
It's like Will Ferrell in that movie where he blacks out and like is a great debater. So you're in the car and like you're nervous, but then what is it about that like inspires Gary to have you come on?
I mean, I was pretty audacious because at this point I'm like, yo, I gotta just put all my chips on the table. And so it was literally got in the car. I was like, I want to work for you. And he's like, he kind of like laughs and he's like, okay, what do you do? You know? And so we just talked for a long time and he asked me like my opinions on what his content was doing and what I think that I could add and what could be changed. And I really had no answer. It was completely like fake it till you make it, just trying to sound as smart as possible, but he bought it. And so walking out of that, he asked me to make a few pieces of content. And so he's like, make like 5 things of how you would do it if you were on the team. And I was like, all right. And so he like kicks me out on 57th Street. I run straight to a Starbucks, like just grind out for like 2 hours, email. I just wanted it to be like as fast as possible. So it was like, they were pretty sloppy, but I just needed to like get something in his inbox. And then a couple days later, I get a call to like HR, and it was funny because I thought this was like the last day of my internship. I was like, cool. It's like thanks for coming by, like give me your name badge and all that. And she's like, do you know why you're here? And I said, no. And she's like, you're starting on Gary's team tomorrow. And I was like,
shit, that's gotta feel so good.
It was crazy,
dude. I love that. I mean, I think the couple things that obviously you know Gary very well and what he would respond to, and it was like I think just like the initiative and the hustle that you put into that, both just in the meeting and just making that shit happen. Like you made that happen.
Yeah.
And then 2 hours later, like I love that. Just like, because some people would just let that opportunity go, or they might like take too long to send an email. You can't send an email a week later.
Yeah.
Like you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this right now. Like it was, what did you make in those 2 hours?
It was, like he does a lot of like quote cards for Instagram. So it was 4 of those where I just like found pictures of him off Google and like slotted them in. Luckily, they had his brand style guide on like the VaynerMedia server. So I had found that earlier and I was like familiar with like the fonts and stuff. And I was like, cool. So I made like 4 like very on brand like quote cards, and then 1 video where I just like ripped an interview off YouTube really quick and like threw some stock footage on top of it with like words flying across the screen.
Wow. That's great, man. That had to feel so good.
Yeah.
So
that was the moment of like, I remember walking out of that meeting and like I walked into a stairwell and like just sat down. It was like a scene out of a movie, and just sat down and was like, wow, like I did it, you know, which it was like, that was just the beginning, but that was the moment where I was like, cool, like I think I'm going to be okay.
The Ground Up Show is a podcast that inspires creatives to make things happen. It's available on your favorite podcasting app. Go to groundupshow.com to get all the links.